Two heads, one tail, young yin. Two heads, one tail, young yin. Two tails, one head, young yang. One tail, two heads, young yin. One tail, two heads, young yin. 2 heads, 1 tail, young yin. A quick passage from the Book of Balance and Harmony, which is essays, conversations, poetry, and songs about the secrets of Taoism that teach how to live a centered and orderly life. On embracing unity. When the infinite culminates, it becomes the absolute. Circulation of the absolute subtlety begins in the one divided into two, producing yin and yang, myriad species, heaven, earth, and humans all emerge from here. Originally, the true one is utterly open, aware. There's no change throughout all time. But due to becoming substance, spirit emanates cognition, differentiating circumstances into good and bad. Following feelings, pursuing illusions, increases suffering. Fragrance, flavor, form, and sound all dazzle and confuse. If you can truly find the root source in the one, you return to the origin, go back to the fundamental, without wasting effort. Yin and yang commune in concentration. Their combinations are gotten in nothingness. The 3 bases and 8 trigrams join in the will. The 4 signs and 5 forces return to utter quiescence. The 4 suddenly bursting forth through the top of the head, a brilliant gold light fills the spiritual room. The valley of open non-reification is spontaneously cleared. The door of the mysterious female opens and closes itself. The wonder of the return of the celestial can never be exhausted. The 4 qualities of creativity never ever cease. Extending the energy and stabilizing the spirit in deep abstraction, going from being into non-being, in a state of ecstasy, what is the ruler within? It is the original purpose of arriving at one's aim, the sword of wisdom. Ever since adepts handed on the secret of the sword, the true imperative has been upheld, completely, truly adamant. If someone asks me about looking for its origin, I say it is not ordinary iron. This lump of iron comes from receptive stillness. When you obtain it, it rises up. Forging it in a glowing fire, through repeated efforts, it is refined and forged into steel. When students of the Tao know this secret, the spirit of light is intensely powerful, and devils of darkness vanish. The subtle function of spiritual work is truly hard to measure. I now give an explanation for you. In telling you about it, I divulge the celestial mechanism. Setting to work when 1 yang comes back. First have the 6 yangs pump the furnace bellows. Then the 6 yins work the tongs and hammer. When the work of firing is complete, it produces the sword. When it is first done, it flashes like lightning. Brandish it horizontally, and a cold, clear breeze arises. Hold it upright, and the shining bright moon appears. When the bright moon appears, auspicious light illumines heaven and earth. Sprites and ghosts are distressed. It stops turbidity, brings out clarity, sweeps away weird defilements. It slays volatility, cuts down aggressiveness, destroys monsters. Influences draining away vitality, energy, and spirit all vanish in the light of the sword. Entanglements cut off, rumination dies down, and the web of feelings is rent asunder. Where the spiritual edge is aimed, mountains crumble. The demon kings of mundane plains are all routed. This precious sword fundamentally has no form. The name is set up because it has spiritual effect. Learning the Tao and practicing reality depend on this sword. Without this sword, the Tao cannot be achieved. Opening up the vast darkness, distinguishing heaven and earth, dissolving obstructions, transmuting objects, all is included. If you ask me how to show it to you, I bring it out before you. Do you not understand? Do you understand or not? Drawing back from error to truth. The Tao produces one energy from open non-reification. Who affixes labels, distinguishing phases of formation? The one energy dichotomizes, producing two modes. The clear rises, the opaque sinks, forming sky and earth. The warp and woof of yin and yang is like a working shuttle. The opening and closing of heaven and earth is like a pumping bellows. With the subtle combining of the two modes, there are the three components, 7 apertures open, producing myriad species. The infinite reality is a single whole, always present in daily activities. Creation after creation, transformation after transformation, hundreds and thousands of workings. None of them are beyond this present mortal being. If you can truly plumb the root source by yourself, the 4 signs and 5 forces are inherently complete within you. Introspecting thrice, day and night, the will is undivided. In the single source of eliminating materialism, accomplishment is multiplied 100-fold. Getting through the passive vitality and then the passive energy, one gains occult communication with the pipes of heaven and earth. In the groove everywhere, one has guidance, every opening illumined. There is no suffocating obstruction. If you can pierce this, you then make 2 faces into one die. Raising your head, you knock over the polar mountain. Taking a step, you overturn the blockade of the mystic wonder. The unique design, simply evoked, expresses the true source. It harmoniously combines myriad differences, resolving them in correct alignment. Having refined the luminous spirit, emanate this spirit of light. Transcend from the realm of form into the formless realm. I see many practitioners today concocting wonders. Arrogant and presumptuous, they show off and boast, claiming to have understanding. A sharp wit and glib tongue are artificial brilliance. Domineering talk of voidness is useless intellection. Beginners are subject to deception. Learned mystics are not liked. Those who just show off strength for now are heedless of their final destruction. Those who talk a lot in front of others are like sailing water by a riverside. Producing smoke and fire, their thoughts are off. Pursuing objects, following fashions, their minds are narrow. Toiling frantically at religious exercises, they struggle madly to circulate vitality and energy. Counting their breaths and massaging themselves, they vainly aim for pleasant sensations. Sinking into torpor, or rising in excitement, they cannot extend attention. Now torpid, now distracted, what can be done? When the spirit wanes away and the energy dissipates, how can this be cured? When the body is exhausted, regret is useless. If you see the straight path out of confusion, to escape the burden of payment of the debt of harmful practices, then collect your scattered mind and overturn your arrogant attitude. Extend familial duty to serving teachers. To get the teaching, first maintain discipline. Extend sympathy for yourself to sympathy for all. Not attacking or blaming others is based on generosity. Without illuminating yourself, you make your illumination complete. Without aggrandizing yourself, you make your greatness complete. With no problems, no cravings, no concerns, get rid of extremes. Get rid of both arrogance and fawning. To work on setting up the foundation requires strict discipline. Carry out further refinement in encounter with situations. Use the sense of real knowledge and the essence of conscious knowledge to make the elixir pill. Don't take mud for jewels. Don't get mired in solipsism, and don't think it's a matter of intellectual knowledge or learned understanding. Raising a child within ultimate non-reification, when the heaven of meditation is completely purified, there's not the slightest wisp. The mechanism of 9 restoration and 7 reversion is not inside and not outside. The original nature of reality is ultimately formless. The eternal open awareness is never obscured. Embrace the basic, keep to the one, store it in openness. Practice this seriously and diligently. Don't be lazy. Combine the 4 signs, unite the 3 bases, assemble the 5 forces, join the 8 trigrams. Cooking in the beginning, of movement, of positive energy, refining at the culmination, there's extraction and addition. Know when to proceed actively and when to withdraw into passivity. Profoundly calm and open non-reification. Operate the mechanism. Deeply absorbed in ecstasy, spin the process of creation. When the 2 medicinal ingredients enter the central chamber, one stream of golden light illumines the 4 quarters. The essence of consciousness and the sense of reality are united by the go-between of the true and steady will. Yin and yang join together, wife and husband in blissful union. Like rain and clouds, they forget day and night. Energy stabilizes, vitality congeals, forming the spiritual embryo. On producing the mystic pearl, there is great amazement. The 4 directions all at once are pervaded with great light. Crystal clear everywhere, without seams or gaps. All is one round sphere which no amount of money can buy. I bow my head to students of complete reality. Remember what I say. If you will take this up directly, it is the bridle to take hold of. When the bridle of speech is put into practice, what then? The true human without fixation rides upon a crane. Our first trigram, our first hexagram, well, we only have 1 hexagram, but the bottom trigram is broken solid, which is Gen Mountain. The mountain is still. It is a limit where you must stop. Gen brings each cycle to an end, defining a space where we can recognize, assimilate, and complete our experience. He creates a personal still center amid change, where we can retreat for perspective and a firm foundation for new growth. He is well-grounded, confident, and of independent spirit. He is still and knows. Mountain is the youngest son, child of maturity. In the cycle of directions and seasons, he is the northeast, late winter, approaching spring, the pivot between cycles. And then our top or outer trigram is Kun, earth, which is broken, broken, broken. Kun is earth, open to receive and support what comes to her, providing for its full development. She makes inspiration manifest, gives it form, and sustains its growth. Earth is available to be used, ready to lend her strength to the work without limit. She protects and accepts all things in their totality, present and potential, in an unconditional embrace. Earth is mother, found in the southwest and the harvest time of late summer and early autumn. That gives us earth over mountain. Which will produce hexagram. Which is humility. Inwardly firm, outwardly flexible, having personal attainment but not dwelling on it. I'll be reading out of I-ming's commentary and translation of the the I Ching. It's called the Taoist I Ching. He wrote this in 1796 as a Taoist adept. Humility. Humility is developmental. The superior person has a conclusion. Explanation. Humility means possession without dwelling on it. As for the qualities of the hexagram, above is earth, submissive, and below is mountain, still. Firmness still within, flexibility accords without. Inwardly firm while outwardly flexible, it is therefore called humility. This hexagram represents preservation of yang by yin. It follows on the previous hexagram, sameness with people. Sameness with people means mixing in with the ordinary world inconspicuously, using strength with clarity, so that strength is not used arbitrarily. Unless one's development and maturity is quite deep and rich, one cannot do this. The work of deepening development is precisely the work of preserving yang by yin. Preserving yang by yin is that whereby openness is consummated and tranquility pure, staying in the appropriate place. Mountain is where one kills the self. Earth is where one enlivens the self. Those who have not yet died first learn to die. This is the stilling of yang. Non-birth is eternal life. This is the submission of yin. The stilling of yang is stopping false yang and nurturing true yang. The submission of yin is using true yin to repel false yin. When false yang stops and true yang remains, this is called nurturing. When false yin retreats and true yin appears, this is called submission. When one is able to nurture and to submit, one governs oneself with strictness and responds to others with openness. The mind becomes increasingly humble, while the way becomes increasingly lofty. Outwardly one is lacking, inwardly one has more than enough. Submitting to truth and according with people, one rests in the highest good and does not move. This is why the path of humility is beneficial. However, if one can be humble in the beginning but not in the end, this is having a start but no conclusion. When stillness is not stable and submission is not appropriate, humility is false and not real, so it cannot be developmental. Only superior people who practice the Tao know where to stop, disregard what they have, and appear to have nothing. They are single-minded on pure reality. They have a start and a conclusion, following the Tao in their acts, growing ever stronger the longer they go on. Therefore they attain the primordial emptiness, coming from within nothingness, congealing into the elixir. Those who are not superior people think they have what they have not, think they are fulfilled when in fact they are empty. Self-satisfied, though they be reverent outwardly, they are not respectful inwardly. Diligent in the beginning, they end up lazy. They inevitably wind up stopping true yang and using false yang, obeying human desires and violating celestial principles. This is not only unfortunate, it is also not developmental. How could it be considered humility? And then back he calls it modesty. 15. Modesty. Earth above, mountain below. There are mountains in the earth. Modesty. Thus does the superior person decrease the abundant and add to the scarce, assessing things and dealing impartially. Modesty means to have endowments but not dwell on them. Above is earth, below is mountain. This is the existence of mountains in the earth. Originally, mountains are high and earth is low, inwardly concealing high attainments while in a state of lowliness. Being outwardly empty yet inwardly fulfilled is the image of modesty. What superior people see in this is that people have an abundance of pride and scarcity of humility. Therefore they act presumptuously and are never impartial. Therefore superior people decrease the abundant pride and increase the scarce humility. When handling affairs and dealing with people, they assess the relative importance of things, determine what is appropriate according to the situation, and deal impartially with it. Superior people capable of modesty have talent but do not presume upon it. They have virtue but do not dwell on it. They have no conception of self and no images of others. All pride and arrogance have vanished from them, and their minds are always equanimous. When the mind is equanimous, one is naturally also impartial in one's dealings. Inwardly equanimous, outwardly impartial, one's virtue grows daily more lofty, one's heart grows daily more humble, outwardly appearing to be lacking, inwardly having more than enough. Many are the benefits of modesty. Integrity, Hexagram 15. Key questions. What is the simple reality? How might you return to a state of balance? What if it didn't all depend on you? Oracle. Integrity creates success. A noble one completes it. To experience integrity is like coming face to face with your real self, plain, simple, and unadorned. To have integrity is to be whole, at one with yourself and with reality. It means being honest about your own capacities, holding yourself in creative balance with your world and not exaggerating the importance of your role. These qualities enable the noble one to bring whatever work presents itself to completion. Since she is not overly full of herself, she has space for the real world. She isn't hampered by an excess or by a lack of confidence. Since she isn't caught up in a personal story and doesn't identify her work with her worth, she is free to do what needs to be done and move on. Image. In the center of the earth there is a mountain, integrity. A noble one reduces what is too much and increases what is diminished, weighing things up to even out their distribution. The earth is unassuming and supports all beings. You might never realize that it contains the height and solidity of a mountain at its center. A noble one is inwardly as self-sufficient as a mountain and as firm as bedrock. She has quietly built up the inner resources to sustain an intelligent, centered generosity. She reduces exaggeration and brings things back to a state of equilibrium, weighing up what is needed from moment to moment, and always referring back to that inner balance point. Sequence. Integrity follows from Hexagram 14, Great Possession. Great possession means being incapable of arrogance, and so integrity follows. Integrity does not mean a false humility. When we are confident in our gifts, we can see ourselves in true proportion with everything and everyone else, and we become capable of integrity. Pair. Integrity forms a pair with Hexagram 16, Enthusiasm. Integrity takes itself lightly, enthusiasm is careless. Integrity is simple and down to earth, enthusiasm is grand and adventurous, enlarging your sense of self through colorful images and stories. Neither is very concerned about outcomes, but for different reasons. Enthusiasm might insist that nothing can go wrong for you, while integrity suggests that what happens to you isn't such an important matter. Out of the Tao Te Ching, translated by Jia Fu Fang and Jane English. A great country is like lowland. It is the meeting ground of the universe, the mother of the universe. The female overcomes the male with stillness, lying low in stillness. Therefore, if a great country gives way to a smaller country, it will conquer the smaller country. And if a small country submits to a great country, it can conquer the great country. Therefore, those who would conquer must yield, and those who conquer do so because they yield. A great nation needs more people, A small country needs to serve. Each gets what it wants. It is fitting for a great nation to yield.